All right, let's be on the record. Case number 2019 CR 908, captioned State of Kansas versus Deliliah Battles. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
Your Honor, Zahil Mari, Assistant District Attorney, appears on behalf of the state.
May it please the court. Shane Rocky appears with the defendant, Deliliah Battles, via Zoom.
All right. We are here set down for a plea hearing. Prior to coming on the record, I've received and reviewed both the amended information and the petition to enter a plea of guilty. Ms. Battles, to take up this plea, I'm going to need to ask you a bunch of questions, okay?
Okay.
If you can't hear me, or if you don't understand one of my questions, you need to tell me that so we can talk about it till I make sure that we're both on the same page, okay?
Okay.
And if at any time before answering a question you want to talk to Mr. Rocky in private, I can what's called do a breakout room and send you two privately to talk, okay? You just need to tell me that you want to do that, okay?
Okay.
All right, to get started, I'm going to need to have you sworn in. So if you would raise your right hand, my court reporter will swear you in.
You solemnly swear the testimony about to give in the cause now in hearing be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Ms. Battles, how far did you go in school?
10th grade.
Read and write okay?
Yes.
All right. I know you're in custody, but as you sit here today, are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or prescription medicine that might cloud your mind, keep you from understanding what you're doing?
No.
Feel like your mind's clear today?
Yes.
All right. Do you know what you're charged with?
Felony theft.
All right. And you know that you don't have to change your plea from one of not guilty to guilty. If you wanted to maintain your not guilty plea, you would have an absolute right to a jury trial on that charge. You understand that?
I understand.
All right. At that trial, the state would have to put on enough evidence to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You wouldn't have to prove anything yourself. Mr. Rocky would assist you through that trial. He would cross-examine and confront all of the state's witnesses, challenge their evidence. He could call any witnesses you wanted called, and if they didn't want to come to court, he could use the subpoena power of the court to make them come. At that trial, you would have a right to testify, but you'd also have a right not to testify. And if you decided not to testify, the state couldn't use that against you to argue that you must be guilty because you didn't give your side of it. You understand all that?
Yes, I do.
All right. So if we had that whole trial and at the end of that trial, you were convicted, you would have a right to appeal that conviction to the appellate courts. If you didn't have the money to do that, a lawyer would be appointed to do it for you. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now, if I accept your plea today, you're going to be giving up all of those rights. There's not going to be any kind of trial in this case. Do you understand that?
I understand.
All right. I'm going to show you the plea petition that Mr. Rocky provided to me.
Okay.
First of all, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
All right. And does that look like the plea petition that Mr. Rocky shared with you?
Yes, it does.
All right. I see a signature on it there where it says defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, as part of the recitation of the plea agreement, this is what it says. It says that you're going to be pleading guilty to the amended count of misdemeanor theft. That's a Class A non-person misdemeanor. You agree to pay full restitution to the victim. At sentencing, both your attorney and the state is going to recommend a 6-month underlying sentence and probation to adult court services for 12 months. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
Yes.
Has anybody promised you anything else to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Anyone placed any force or threats against you to make you plead guilty today?
No.
All right. Now, I see in here it says that the parties are going to recommend a 6-month underlying sentence. Do you understand that the maximum sentence for this crime is actually 12 months in jail and a fine of $2,500, and that you could be subject to anything up to the maximum? Do you understand that?
I understand.
All right. I'm going to be listening closely to the recommendations of the parties, but at the end of the day, I'm not bound by those recommendations, and I can give you any sentence that the law allows. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
All right. Do you have any questions for me about anything that we've gone over today?
I do not.
All right. Mr. Rocky, do you know any reason why your client should not plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then I'm going to ask you, Ms. Battles, as to the sole count in the amended information charging you with misdemeanor theft, a category A non-person misdemeanor, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
All right, I'm going to ask Mr. Omari here from the state to tell me what he thinks the evidence would be if this case went to trial. I want you to listen closely because when he's done, I'm going to ask you if that's what happened, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Omari.
Your Honor, the evidence would show that on October 12th of 2018, officers of the KCK PD were dispatched to 624 Kansas Avenue here in Wyandotte County, Kansas, on a reported vehicle theft. Upon their investigation, they determined that it was a white in color 2005 Ford F-250 that was taken, valued at about $12,000. Officers obtained video surveillance footage which showed a second vehicle pulling up to the stolen vehicle. It was occupied by two people. One of those was the defendant, Deliliah Battles. She was the passenger in that vehicle. The driver got out of the vehicle, went to the stolen vehicle, unlocked the front door, and got the ignition started, and then drove off in the stolen vehicle while Miss Battles followed him. Later, there was surveillance video taken from a gas station here in Kansas City, Kansas, which showed both parties, one in it looked like a tow truck, and the other in the stolen vehicle. The stolen vehicle was occupied by Deliliah Battles.
All right. Ma'am, you heard what the prosecutor had to say?
Yes, I did.
Is that what happened in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right. I will find the defendant has freely, voluntarily, and intelligently entered into this plea. She understands the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. There is a factual basis for a finding of guilt, and I will in fact find that she is guilty of the amended charge of misdemeanor theft, Class A non-person misdemeanor. My understanding is the parties wish to waive pre-sentence investigation and go directly to sentencing today. Is that correct, Mr. Omari?
Yes, Judge.
And Mr. Rocky?
Yes, Your Honor.
My question before we start this, do we know what the restitution request by the state is going to be?
Judge, the state did not receive any restitution requests from the victims. We've reached out to them, didn't receive anything, so we won't be requesting any restitution be ordered.
Okay. All right. Well, then I would ask you, Mr. Omari, any other comments as to sentencing?
No, Judge. We would just request that you follow the plea agreement.
Mr. Rocky?
We would also request that you follow the plea agreement.
All right. Ms. Battles, anything you want to tell me before I pass sentence today?
No.
All right. I'm going to follow the plea agreement. The defendant will be sentenced to a period of 6 months in the county jail. She is going to be granted probation to adult court services for 12 months. There is no request for a restitution. Ms. Battles, do you have employment when you get out or a line thereon?
I currently have an interview set up if I get out tonight with Timber Creek, and it's a restaurant in Lewisburg, Kansas.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to see to it that you get out tonight. Hopefully here in the next couple of hours. All right. I think the defendant has the financial wherewithal to be assessed court costs and supervision fees. Mr. Rocky, you appointed in this case?
I am, Your Honor, and I'm looking up I forgot we were going to go straight to sentencing, so I forgot to do my bid. I think it's probably going to be close to the max because this is a 2019 case and we had 2 failure to appear. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to assess 150 of that. I think that's appropriate and within the means of the defendant. Ma'am, if you get a job here, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. Could you pay $100 a month towards your costs and fees?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'm going to order a payment plan of $100 a month. That should get you paid off well before you're off probation. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to